Hello and welcome to Wisdom Bites. Hope you're well. Thank you once again for joining us. Very much appreciated. Now in today's packed program, I will be looking at exactly what's happened to Bitcoin and where we've got to after the mini crash that we've just had right here. In the last two videos, I was warning everyone of an imminent crash. Firstly at 57,000 because that's where the red line was on the Bitcoin investor tool that we had. Then I updated that by telling you that the crash is about to come and the price was going to be around about the 58.5 to 59,500 where the red line was. Well, now that we've had the crash, it's happened, where do we go from here? So I'll be looking at the following. Firstly, I'll be looking at the 20 daily exponential moving average, which the current rally of Bitcoin has been coming back to for support. Secondly, I'll be looking at the CPR pivots which I've been giving you over the last few months and how we actually achieved our target of $55,000 here absolutely perfectly. And guess what's happened? We've come back down to the R2 line and found support on exactly the same line at around about the $48,000 mark. Thirdly, I'll be looking at the angled volume profile and showing you exactly where we're at in terms of are we above it or below it. We'll also look at the volume and to see exactly what we can make of the amount of volume that we had in regards to the mini crash that we've just had in the last few days. We'll have a look at the 4-hourly EMA ribbons and what they're telling us about what's going to be happening to the price currently. All of these factors will give us a picture as to exactly where we're at with Bitcoin and where we're heading in the next few weeks. After the last video that I did, many people asked me if there was a long-term trend line for Bitcoin similar to the one I showed you in my last video for Ethereum. The answer is a categoric yes. And I've shown you this line before, but I'm now going to show it to you in a completely different way. This is the trend line that I'm going to show you today, which I don't think anybody on YouTube has shown yet. I'm going to show you exactly why this red trend line here is predicting a big correction on its way in the next few months. I'm also going to show you this Ethereum chart, which is possibly predicting what is about to happen with Bitcoin in the next couple of weeks in relation to this red line that I've been talking about in the last few videos, and how this price action of Ethereum is predicting what may possibly be in store for Bitcoin. If all that sounds interesting, then without further ado, indulge yourselves with a lovely bar of Snickers and a cup of tea, and let's get cracking. As usual, before I get into the meat of the video, I will give you the polite reminder that this video, like all my videos, are for educational purposes only, and none of it should be taken as financial advice. So please do your wider research before making any investment decisions. With that out of the way, let's get cracking. At the end of this video, I want to do a little bonus section about what people can do with the money that you make in this bull market. So keep watching until the end. You don't want to miss that. It may well be the most important part of what you hear today. In the last two videos, I've been warning everyone about the impending and imminent correction that was about to take place as we come towards hitting this red line. Well, even before hitting this red line here, we've had the crash down to these levels. So the question now is, now that we've had this imminent fall, where do we go from here? Do we make a recovery or do we go further down? And I'm going to look at some of the main indicators that are suggesting what may be to follow. And that will paint a picture as to exactly where we could possibly go in the next few weeks. I'm going to start off by showing you the volume of what happened in this particular sell-off here. As you can see quite clearly, the volume leading up to this price towards this red line here, the volume was quite flat. So there wasn't very much increase in the volume to take the price to such a high level. So it was inflated. And what this volume candles tell me here is that Many people were anticipating a fall at this red line, but they weren't going to wait until it hit the red line and started the sell-off much quicker than would have been the case. We got the fall before the price action actually hit the red line here. We can deduce whatever we want to from this price action here, but if we look historically in the last bull market, what actually happened when we came up to this red line may give us a clue as to what may be about to happen in the next few weeks or so. So what this price action is saying is that we may have quite a lot of price action that's going to be determined by this red line, because this is what happened in the last bull market, and it may well be that we're going to have a similar price action here. So this is just the start of something that could go on for a few months actually here. So we need to be aware of that. And as you can see currently, we've just been rejected by this red line, even though we didn't touch it. And we may well be forming a bull flag here. So it may be that we have a few weeks of sideways movement before we break out and meet this red line over here. And then we have a few more price actions. So we'll just have to wait and see, but this is the possibilities I'm trying to give you. Just because we've now been rejected at this red line doesn't mean that that's it. The next time we come up to it, we're going to go through. What the previous and historical price chart patterns are telling us is that we may have a few months of price action along this red line here before we actually break through this red line eventually. One of the main reasons why I say that is because if you look at the Ethereum price pattern that's been happening currently, and we all know that sometimes Ethereum leads the Bitcoin price and sometimes Bitcoin leads the Ethereum price. And is this a clue that the Ethereum price is leading Bitcoin in terms of its behavior in relation to this red line here? As you can see quite clearly, when we came up to this red line with Ethereum, we got rejected. First time, we came up again, got rejected. The second time, hovered around there for a few times, even broke out, and we've now been rejected again. So we've had 3 rejections already. Whereas for Bitcoin, we've only been rejected once. So is this telling us that we're going to have another 2, possibly 3 more rejections? See, these are the corrections that we've had at this line for Ethereum. So the first time we came up, if we take the price from the red line to this price action at the bottom where it bounced from, that was a 26% correction. Then the second time we moved up here and had a fall, a 27% correction. And the third time, just now, with Ethereum, we've now had a 33% correction. So this red line, as I've said in the last few videos, is playing a very relevant and significant role in Bitcoin and Ethereum. The million-dollar question is, have we come to the end of this correction here? Well, let me show you the daily exponential moving average. The yellow line here is the daily exponential moving average. And as you can see quite clearly, we've found a lot of strong support at this line. And guess what? We found support at the last time that we had this correction. Even though we fell below it, that would have proved a very good time to buy into Bitcoin. So these candles are a very good trigger point that if you're looking to get into Bitcoin, like you've got some more money to invest on Bitcoin, so do look at this daily exponential moving average. Every time we fall below it, that is a good buying opportunity, as you can see from historical trends. Further back, as you can see here, we were supported by the 20 daily exponential moving average here and here. As well as here, here, and here. So the 20 daily exponential moving average is proving to be a very strong and relevant line for Bitcoin in this bull market. So the daily exponential moving average may be giving us a clue that the Bitcoin price has now come to the end of its correction here, and that we may be on the way to bouncing back up towards the new highs. To the pivots that I've been showing you for the many few months. The CPR pivots are giving you the targets for the following month. So at the end of January, I gave you these targets here. The first one was the R1 line at the $40,000 mark. And I said quite clearly that my targets for the whole of February are that we will more than likely meet R2 and have a high probability of meeting the R3 line at the $55,000 mark. So we met the R2 target at 48,000, and we've now met the R3 line at 55,000. And I said in the last video, I don't think the price is going to come up to the R4 line at 61,000 because I was showing you that red line on the Bitcoin investor tool that more than likely we're going to have a correction before we get to this price target here. So we've had that now, but as you can see, we've come back down and found support at the R2 line at the 48,000 mark here. So again, this would suggest that there is a very strong support price around this 48,000 on the R2 pivot line. So let's wait and see. I don't see the price coming back down to the next line at the R1 at 40,000, but that is a possibility, but a highly unlikely outcome. I want to show you the angled volume profile here and show you that where we are in relation to that, because many people keep asking me, when is the best time to get into Bitcoin? And I've shown you this consistently for the many last videos that every time we come below this angled volume profile, as you can see here, has proven in the past to be a very good trigger point to buy into Bitcoin before it starts moving out of the angled volume profile. So here would have been a fantastic point to buy. Here would have been a fantastic point to buy. Here would have been a fantastic point to buy. So what this angled volume profile does is it just separates the price out so that we can see quite clearly that when it goes below is a good trigger to buy, and when it goes above, we know that a correction is about to come and maybe a good time for those people who are short-term traders to take some profits off the table. So currently we've just gone back into the angled volume profile by being around about here. But if the price does dip below it and you're looking for an entry point, this could prove to be a very good entry point for you. So far we've built up a picture that we found some very strong support at these levels here, and it looks like a higher inclination for the Bitcoin price to be moving higher rather than lower. But there is one more tool that I do like to use to give us a very good indicator as to what could possibly happen, and that is the EMA Ribbons on the 4-hourly chart. Since the current rally started here in September, October last year, you can see quite clearly the 4-hourly ribbons. We've only breached them once here, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, and now the 6th time here. However, all along this line, we've only breached the blue line here just once there. The blue line is the 200 period, i.e. the 4-hourly, so it's the 200 period moving average, and is proving to be a very strong support for the Bitcoin price in this current rally since September, October last year. If we look closely, we can see that we found support above this blue line already here. And that would suggest that unless we have this kind of a fall, we're more than likely going to bounce from here, because we bounced so far over here, over here, over there. So this is a very strong support line for Bitcoin, and it would suggest that the correction is over here. However, that won't be confirmed until the price moves above the ribbons here. Once the price moves above the ribbons here, with a 4-hourly open and close, that would confirm that we are now on our way back towards all-time highs. Let's wait and see what happens, but these ribbons are very, very important. When they fall below here, then you know that you're going to spend a little period of time below these price levels here. But once we move above them, as you can see, once we move out of the ribbons, we do get a price and support above the ribbons as we go up in the rally. So the current picture I can see with Bitcoin is that we have found a lot of support around these levels here. While showing you all the indicators that I have, the possibility is still that we can still go down, obviously, towards the 40,000 level. However, with all the support that the price is getting around these levels, there is a higher propensity or a higher probability that we're going to be moving further up rather than down. But that will only be confirmed once we move above these ribbons here at the $51,000, $52,000 mark. If you want to support the channel, then please click on any of my videos, and then below the videos you'll find a box called Show More, which gives you a description box, and in that description box is the affiliate link with Etoro that I have. So I partner up with Etoro because that's the main exchange I use for all my investments. These are the reasons why I tend to use Etoro. It's a very simple exchange to use in terms of depositing money and withdrawing the money, as well as trading if that's what you want to do, as well as for long-term investing, which is what I tend to do. So if you want to support the channel, please click on the partnership link, and then what you'll do is you'll get this box here, and then you can basically put your username, email and password and just fill in the form there. If you like any of my videos and you find value in them, then please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Finally, on Bitcoin, many people have asked me if there is a long-term trend line for Bitcoin, which is similar to the one that I showed in my last video for Ethereum here. Now, if you haven't watched the video, I'll just do a little recap, because what I did was I showed you this particular line here was going to become the trend line for next year's bear market for Ethereum once it has topped out over here. So this is what we were predicting, the bottom of the next bear market for Ethereum. So what I did was to take this particular line and take it to the inception point here, which is basically the time when Ethereum came out. This is the pink line here in June 2016, and the $3 base price line that Ethereum came out at. So when you put these two lines together, this becomes the base of this trend line here. And as you can see, when you actually elongate this line, you can see quite clearly that what we have is resistance and support here, resistance, resistance and support there, resistance, resistance, resistance until it broke out there. So that tells you that this long-term trend line is extremely important and relevant to Ethereum in a longer-term time frame. So if we now take this line and elongate it further, we can see quite clearly that once we top out here, we're going to be coming back down, and this line is then going to form the base of the lowest point of the bear market for Ethereum. So this would be a very good time around there. Anytime the price goes around this trend line will be a great time to pick up the Ethereum for the next cycle here. What people have been asking is that, do we have a similar line for Bitcoin that we had for Ethereum, this particular line here? And the answer is absolutely yes. Let me show you. So this is the BLX chart for Bitcoin on the weekly time frame. And when you look at the price action along the full extent of its history, you'll see that you can draw a trend line very easily in between the points here. And the best line of fit I found was when you take it from this particular line here. So when you take it from this point and take it past this 13,800 line that we got actually rejected in 2019 at the price of 13,800, if you elongate that line, you'll find that it's going to act as a very strong and relevant trend line for future Bitcoin prices. So as you can see with this particular line, the reason why it's the best fit line is because you can get more points of the price action on this trend line. And that's what makes it more relevant and important. For instance, you can start at this point here where there's obviously resistance here. Then you've got support and support all the way along there. And then you've got support all the way along this line here. This is one of the reasons why it makes a very strong trend line. And then what you've got is this inception point, this pivot point here, where the 2017 bull market had actually moved down to, and then suddenly we had a drop at this particular line. And then it came up and used this trend line as resistance before we had this downward trend culminating in the COVID-19 situation from which we've had this. So this is the reason why this trend line is extremely important. And one thing that a lot of people have not even considered is that if you take this line and extend it just like we did with the Ethereum, you're going to find something very, very interesting, just like the red line on the Bitcoin investor tool. So the question is, what's going to happen to the Bitcoin price once we get past the Bitcoin investor tool red line that I've shown you, which is coming up about here? Once we get past that, wherever it is, we're going to come up to this particular line. And this gives us a clue as to the next correction or the next big correction that we can expect with Bitcoin. I'm expecting a major correction along this line here. So wherever the price action moves to, if it's here or here, wherever that's going to be, this is where we're going to get one more big correction to the downside before we recover. And maybe we may get another one and another one before we finally break through. So this particular line, we at Wisdom Bytes need to be fully aware of. I haven't seen anybody draw this line as part of a resistance line that's about to come up for the Bitcoin price action. So please be aware that this line here, please draw it in your own charts. And if you haven't got a chart that you draw and you just depend on YouTubers like me to show you, then I'm obviously going to keep on showing you this over the next few weeks and months as we approach this trend line here. But keep it in your mind, put it in your diary if you have to, that this trend line is going to be a very important and relevant trend line for Bitcoin price. And as soon as we come here, there is an extremely high probability that just like here, we're going to get rejected. It may not end up with this outcome, but what we will do is we'll get at least a good pullback of anywhere between 30 to 50% around about here. So just be aware of that. If you found value in this information, then please hit the like button and subscribe if you're new. People have been asking me for an update. Very simply, this is a weekly chart. What we have is an amazing opportunity to pick up NEO at a huge discount here. As you can see, the price broke this neckline here, went up. It met our first target, which was doubling of the price, and I'd given you this tip at around about the $23, $24 level. We went as high as $56, and then with the Bitcoin, it's actually crashed back down. And this is a fantastic opportunity to pick up more. The ultimate target, as you know, is $3,000 up here. And this target will only be met as long as, and I keep giving you the same caveat, and that is that as long as Bitcoin is on its upward trajectory towards its all-time high in the next few months, then altcoins like NEO will do fantastically well and you will more than likely meet these targets. But if Bitcoin stops anywhere between, then you can expect the altcoins to do the same. So everything is always dependent on Bitcoin, which is the driver of all prices up and down. Moving on quickly to ZCASH. As you can see, it's a very similar looking chart to NEO. And as soon as it broke through, I said that once we break this neckline here of this cup and handle pattern, then this will be this trigger point for the price to move much, much higher. The story hasn't changed for ZCASH or for NEO. All we can do is to just wait until this correction is over. And as you can see with this red candle coming back below the neckline, this was a fantastic opportunity. If you are going into ZCASH, this would have been a fantastic opportunity to actually buy more ZCASH if you wanted to. So anybody who took this trade, this is an amazing opportunity to buy more ZCASH at a discounted price. And we all want to have a discount. So if you can get the same thing at a much discount price, then why wouldn't you go for it? So if it is one you're holding, well, that was a great opportunity there. Even at these levels, it's a great opportunity to top up if you want to. But the main ones that I always say is the best ones to be on is really Bitcoin and Ethereum. So in conclusion, both NEO and ZCASH, we're exactly where we were before. We've had a minor correction. We've been given a fantastic opportunity at a discounted price to accumulate more should we want to do so. And we're still waiting for the price to go to much higher levels in the next few weeks and months. On to today's tip, and that is Polkadot. This is a DeFi project. And basically the chart was looking really, really good. I thought it would be a good price to get in at if that's what you want to do. So as you can see, up to recently, we've been having this big rally for Polkadot, culminating over here when it was around about the 42 level. And since the price has now come down in sympathy with the Bitcoin price, it's now presenting a very good opportunity to buy in at a lower level. And the beauty about this, that we're forming this particular channel, this is another pink channel, and you can see quite clearly we're at the bottom of this channel. And you'd now be buying at the lowest point here. And as this price rises, where is it going to go next? Well, you look at the top of the channel and you can take that to wherever this point might meet here. And you're talking about a price of around about 100 plus here very, very quickly in the next few weeks. So currently the price is at 34.6. We can expect this to go well beyond the 100 in the next few weeks without a doubt, as long as Bitcoin carries on its rally. So if Bitcoin comes down, this will obviously have a correction with it. But if Bitcoin is going up, then this can carry on going up. It's very difficult to predict the actual top of this market because we don't have much price action historically. So this can really go anywhere it really wants to. But certainly it is one of the big projects on the cryptocurrency space. And so you would expect this to do very, very well in comparison to the other projects that are available out there. So let's wait and see. If this takes your fancy, please remember this is not financial advice. I'm just giving you some opportunities. It's really up to you whether you want to take this as an opportunity, because there's lots of opportunities currently as we are in a big bull market. I also want to bring to your attention to something that's going on in the background which you may not be aware of, and that is that the institutions have been very, very busy purchasing and repurchasing as many Bitcoins as they possibly can get their hands on. Just yesterday, Michael Saylor from Microstrategy, if you remember the video I showed you 2 videos ago about Microstrategy and his intention to buy up more and more Bitcoin. Well, look what he says here. CEO Michael Saylor said the firm doesn't intend to slow down the rate of its Bitcoin acquisitions after buying another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin. So just yesterday, Microstrategy purchased another $1 billion worth of Bitcoin and now owns 90,000. And Square, which was one of the first institutions which actually bought Bitcoin, also yesterday doubled down on Bitcoin, investing another $170 million in Bitcoin. And they now own roughly 3,318 more Bitcoin. So as time goes on, every time we have a dip in the price of Bitcoin, you'll find that these companies are buying up as much Bitcoin as they possibly can. So every time you see a dip, you'll see these headlines. And in the background, there are a lot of institutions which have no intention of selling. As you saw from that video with Michael Saylor, they have no intention of selling, which means that the number of Bitcoins available on the market is going to go at less and less and less, which obviously is going to put a rocket up the price of Bitcoin. And that's why it's going to go to the moon in the next few months and years. And finally, in this packed program, I just want to bring to your attention something that quite a lot of people have asked me about what they should do with their money. And apart from telling them to put it into my bank account as soon as they possibly can, I wanted to give you some advice in terms of what you could possibly do. And one way is to do what I'm thinking of doing with the money that I make. And that is simply, if I give you an arbitrary figure so that we know exactly where we are, a round figure, let's say you make £1 million in this bull market, which is entirely possible because I've seen a lot of the comments under my videos, and I can see that many of you have got a lot of holdings in Bitcoin, far more than I have in many instances. So you're obviously going to be multi-millionaires. But let's say you've got £1 million, whether it's £100,000 or £1 million, but it's just a round figure just to give you an illustration. And that is, what should you do with this £1 million at the end of this bull market? Well, I can only tell you my own thinking. It doesn't mean that it's the best thing or the only alternative. It doesn't mean that I've got the answers to everything. I can only tell you with my own thinking and my experience what I would be inclined to do. And that is, what do you do with this £1 million? Now, reading the comments, you can see that people are wanting to get a Lambo. This is always the same thing that you keep seeing. Go on a big holiday, blow it on there, and so on and so on. They've got all their desires and everything else, and they seem hell-bent on getting rid of this money, and then they're going to have to start to reaccumulate it over here again. I hope people aren't offended, but that seems to me to be a very stupid way of spending this money. The way I would see this, and this is how I've always conducted my life, and that is, if you get a windfall of £1 million, then the first thing I would do is to try and ring fence this money as much as possible. That is, that this is the principal amount. You never spend the money, which is the principal amount of money that you get in anything. So when you have a windfall of this type, what you need to do is to protect this at all costs. So how do you do that? Well, the way I normally do it, because I have a real interest in properties and real estate, what I would do is to create the goose that lays the golden egg. Let me say that again. With this money, I would be inclined to create the goose here to lay the golden eggs here. Now, what that really means is, this principle says that you can protect this money by buying something like a commercial property, which is your goose, and that gives you the rental income, which is your golden egg. Because then you can spend whatever the golden egg amount is, you spend that to wherever you want. Then you can buy the Lambo, go on holiday and what have you. Because when you do it this way, what you're doing is you're protecting the 1 million. That never goes. That is always going to be yours because of this property that you create over here. And all you're doing is spending from the eggs that this goose is producing. So just a quick principle of how to protect the money when you actually come to the end of this bull market. I hope you found value in that. And if you did, then please remember to like and subscribe and to turn on the notification bell. So we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much indeed for watching. If you have any comments, questions or suggestions, then please leave them in the comments below. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.